Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Today's edition of Ask a Leopard Owner takes us to Fort Lauderdale, Florida on a Leopard 45 sailing catamaran. Before introducing Andy and Maki, I want to take a moment to introduce myself. My name is Chris, and in addition to being a Leopard 45 owner myself, I get to work with members of the Leopard community, helping share their stories of adventure, curiosity, and exploration on their Leopard. A few housekeeping items before we get started. Today's session is being recorded and will be published on leopardcatamarans.com in the coming days. In other words, don't worry about writing everything down. You'll receive an email to this video once it's published. To submit your questions at any point today, go ahead and click the Q&A button at the bottom of this screen. We'll do our best to answer all of them, but if we run out of time, we'll share an email address at the end to submit your questions. And lastly, there's a 2-question survey that will pop up after we wrap up today. We'd love your feedback so we can learn what you liked and things we could do better in future editions. So first, let's take a look at what we're going to cover. We'll learn about Andy and Maki, where they are and how they got here, why they chose a Leopard 45, what it's like sailing with young kids, how they sail and homeschool, and lessons learned along the way. So that's it from me, Andy and Maki. Welcome and thank you so much for joining us today.
Yay!
Hi. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. Everyone can hear us, right?
Yep, we sure can.
Excellent. Well, we'll just introduce ourselves or so that way. So my name's Andy.
My name is Maki.
My name is Oliver. And my name is Lucas.
Excellent.
Okay.
So as Chris had mentioned, we are owners of a Leopard 45. This is a 2020 Leopard 45 model. And we will give you guys a little background information, backstory, I guess, if you will, on how we've gotten to this chapter of our lives. So before our boys were born, Maki and I had actually lived in Los Angeles. We were in West Hollywood, and we lived just a block off the world famous Sunset Strip. I worked actually in filmed entertainment at the Walt Disney Studios in the feature animation division, and that's still running.
It sure is. Looks like it's a
sorry,
internet on a boat, right?
It is, although we're going to blame this one on just catamarans because we're connected to them.
Yes, we're right. Okay,
there we go.
There we go.
So as I mentioned, I had worked in filmed entertainment at the Walt Disney Studios. I had the pleasure of working on a variety of animated feature films. Maki worked at a very famous spa in West Hollywood, Ulla Hendrickson Face and Body Spa. She was one of the top estheticians in Los Angeles, and she actually garnered quite a following with celebrity clientele from Katy Perry to Shakira to Jessica Alba, the cast of Friends. And all, it was great. We had enjoyed our life there. But once the boys were born, we realized we didn't want to raise them in LA. So we moved to a beautiful California coastal town, San Clemente. Great place to raise kids, lots of outdoor activities from hiking and biking and camping. And we did all those things, but we tended to always find ourselves down by the beach. The boys loved being down by the ocean. They would build castles or chase waves, or they're always throwing rocks. And we would see pretty regularly sailboats out at sea, right?
Yes.
And so
So one day I said to Andy when we were sitting on the beach, I said, hey, do you have to be rich to go sailing? I mean, that was the very first time we started really seeing all the sailboats. And you said no, and we can just join the Sailing Association and see if we like it. So I think the passion for sailing was born then when we started going to the Sailing Association, and we were part of the boating industry and meeting all these amazing people.
Yeah,
and
it was a lot of fun. I mean, that's when we even got the boys involved in a little bit
Yes.
of sailing classes. And we spent a fair amount of time through the Sailing Association. We were able to go out with either boat owners or on boats that were part of the association. And yeah, to Maki's point, I mean, we really enjoyed being out on the water. And so that is where we really found ourselves falling in love with the whole idea of sailing.
So the next question we get a lot is why boat? Why a catamaran? Why not an RV or something else? So what do you say, Andy?
Well, the truth is, so we did have an RV. We had purchased it. We enjoyed it. It was just for us, it was the wrong timing. We kind of hastily bought it. We clearly wanted to dial in more fun as a family and do something different. The thing that allowed us to move from LA down to San Clemente was that as entrepreneurs, we had launched a organic skincare company. And that's how we moved down to San Clemente. The company, flourished. We had our own manufacturing facilities and warehouses that fed distribution to over 12 countries around the world. All of that was great, but it didn't allow us time to actually use the motorhome. So we did end up selling it. And we became, for 13 years, we worked 6 to 7 days a week. And we realized, you know what? We really needed a break. We didn't take the time to go on an actual real vacation. So we had decided that we were going to take a break, and we went down to Miami for Southern Florida for a week or two, which was fantastic, right? I mean, we sat on the beaches, and even though we live on the coast in California, the water's cold and the coast is rocky. And here we are in Miami, where the sand is warm and it's tropical. Everything's just so warm and fuzzy, and it's just a great time. And as the two of us just sat there watching our boys having the time of their life,
we had some really deep conversations about about life, when enough is enough, when how long do you think we can go through this pace, because our kids are getting older. We're spending so much time in our factory and doing our business. So
I think at least for us, you don't realize how you're running at such an amped up pace, and it's just life, right? And you're doing your thing. And until we came here and we really took the time to mellow out and really truly enjoy time together as a family, did we realize that, okay, we clearly want something different. We bought the motorhome. But this time around, we thought we had this love for sailing, and we thought, okay, what if we did something with sailing? Maki brought up the point that we're in Miami. Fort Lauderdale is where Leopard catamarans are. And so we took a trip up to
see Bob Ross, our broker.
Yeah, and they didn't have a Leopard 45 on the dock, but there were a variety of other Leopard catamarans. And we really spent the better part of a full day.
And we sat there, and we sat on one of the power boats of Leopards that was similar to our boat. And we were just imagining, we were dreaming, just like you guys watching right now and watching different YouTube channels. Like, oh my God, like what if this boat is ours? Like, can you imagine this cabin? And what about, sitting here in the cockpit or being on the helm? So we really... And
the boys really got into it too, because they were, of course, running all over the boat, but they're like, oh, if this was our boat, I want to sleep here. This is going to be my cabin. And you really started to feel us immersing in the dream and seeing ourselves as boat owners. And that took us back to the beach. And Bob had mentioned, I should say that at that time, right, Bob had mentioned that there was a Leopard 45 that was roughly 2 years out, 22 months before it would be arriving, and that it hadn't been listed, it wasn't sold yet. And so that really, we spent the next 3 days down in Miami seriously talking about what do we really want to do, and we kind of kept beating around the bush. And like, I think most decisions that all of us make or don't make, it's based on fear. And certainly for us, it was a big decision to make. But in the end, we decided, you know what, life is short. We are never going to get ages 7, 8, 9, 10 back with our boys. And we decided to let's do it. So we came back up to Fort Lauderdale. We sat with Bob and we signed the big piece of paper. And we went home and started really building that dream. We put a map of the world in the hallway. We all started talking about what are the places that we want to go. The boys were adamant that we need to find the pirate's gold. What island is it on? And all those things. So we really all started talking about that. And then we realized, well, now we've put this flag in the ground that's 2 years out. We need to sell our company. We need to get as much practice and build as confident in boating.
Move out of our home. So we start packing. We rented our home, actually. We put all our stuff in the storage. And so that was easy, but we left a few months before that. So we rented a smaller apartment so we can get used to for this, being on a smaller boat. And what you just saw now, we shipped about 26 boxes. They all went to Miami for our boat. We got all the essentials for the boat. We pre-washed everything. We wanted to do it the right way, right? When we had RV, when we had RV, we kind of didn't have a real plan. But when the boat came, we were ready.
We had no plan with the RV other than let's go buy it. And So,
so we pre-washed, right, all the essentials and everything. So when we actually moved to the boat, we just had to unopen all the boxes and put all the sheets, the pillows, everything was washed, the kitchen stuff. So it was really easier. It made our day much less stressful.
Yeah, I think that was also
a similar situation when I ordered my Leopard 45. I think I waited 18 or 20 months. And in some ways it was great because it allowed you to be really purposeful and intentional about making this transition. So you weren't rushed into anything. Question here though, from Wagner, for someone that has very little experience of sailing but would like to live on a catamaran, what are the main things to do to accomplish this transition? You guys have talked a little bit about that now, but if you had to summarize it maybe in 3 bullet points, how would you say that?
So to prepare to go from land life to moving and living aboard a catamaran.
That's right.
Wow, 3 bullet points.
You can do it, Andy.
Well, I think the key things, because to be honest, okay, we did sign up for the Sailing Association, and we did get some time out on the water. The Sailing Association was monohull classes. Then we started taking catamaran classes together. I think at the end of the day, again, to push through that fear threshold is to get as much experience out on the water as possible. Totally. It's just about getting comfortable, even if it's a monohull, or get on a catamaran. Just spend boat. Yeah, doesn't matter. I think you would spend time out on the water. I think I wanted to mention this later. I think I would mention it now, and it's something that I think I would have done differently. For us as a couple and as a family, we still have the business. Maki, we needed, obviously somebody had to stay at home and watch the boys. I wish that we could have dialed in Maki a little more. Yes. That would have helped her with a little more confidence as we actually came on the boat. But obviously there are the aids and all those things. The one thing I would suggest to every new boat owner is to sign up for your local U.S. Coast or your local Coast Guard classes to become a captain. You don't, even if you didn't take the test and become a certified U.S. Coast Guard captain or a Coast Guard captain wherever you are in the world, the thing is that by going through that course, you will learn not only all the rules of the road, like, oh, what do all these markers mean? What does this symbol mean? And it would eliminate so much concern and stress as you come out onto the boat, because even now we've been on the boat 9 months, and obviously we've seen a lot of things out on the water, but the learning curve, there's a lot to see and to learn. And I think the more that you could do on maybe paper and study and apps and learn those things, and then simultaneously or along the way, spend as much time on the water as you can.
No, that was your first bullet point. Okay.
That's bullet point 1.
Okay. We're getting there. Okay. Speed up.
I don't know. Did that answer? I know it was a long way around, but did it answer the question?
It's really just.
It did. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you saying get out on the water. I think make sure that you like it and are comfortable out on the water before you make a big decision and go buy a boat. But to just get familiar with it. There are plenty of opportunities to crew on boats and crew on deliveries and things like that. So lots of opportunities, I think, to get the experience, which I think is really important.
And obviously there's charters and bare boating. And the one really big key thing is if you're doing this as a couple or as a family, do the water time and get out there together. Make sure that the entire family is really on board with this, because it's a transition, it's a change in life. But we can honestly tell you guys that you can do it. We did this without
ever chartering.
We actually didn't charter. We didn't. We
never had time. We were always working. We never had time to take 2 weeks off, go fly to Virgin Islands and do that stuff. But really just, it comes down to make sure that everyone is on board and get as many classes as experience. There are so many websites that you can become a crew member unpaid, and even without experience, a lot of the boats will take you on board as a crew member. So make sure you sign up for those. I think just anywhere.
I had also helped some of the Leopard owners that took delivery of their brand new boat and helped. I just went with them as crew. And, when you're doing longer, like there were some boats that would go from Fort Lauderdale to Hilton Head, 2 or 3 or 4 days out at sea. And so you're doing night sailing and you're doing shifts. So I became a part of that crew. and I would help them, take their boat. And so that gave me night sailing. It allowed me to be on a Leopard 45 for the first time ever.
And I forgot one thing for those of you who can kind of feel the same. So, you guys don't have a lot of experience. For those of you, I would say the best decision we made ever since we bought this boat is getting a captain on board. And for some of you that you have watched the videos, having Captain Richard with us several different times on several different scenarios, practicing going to the marinas, opening the bridges, anchoring, and just, again and again, it allowed us to become more confident. It's a shorter amount of time.
There was a family about 2 hours ago that walked by right here on the dock, and they were talking about that they just ordered a Leopard 42, and they were excited, and the gentleman said that his wife was just concerned, and she's not quite there. She signed on to do it. And I think a really big thing is, as you get this experience maybe even before you buy the boat or any of those things, fall in love with the beauty of all fun things. Go out and sail. If you have a charter a boat or do the cruise, so you don't have to worry about driving. None of that. Just go enjoy, have that drinks, have the great family vacation, and say, wow, we really want more of this. Because to be honest, learning the sailing and learning how to drive this boat, all those things, it is not hard. You just need to dedicate some time to it and be dedicated to learning it. And anybody can do this. Honestly, anybody can do this.
So the next one, our dream comes to life.
So
this is one about the freighter, when we videoed.
Yeah, so we had positioned our life, as we said, that we rented the house, then we moved to an apartment, and we wanted to be in Fort Lauderdale when the boat arrived. We actually tracked the freighter that was delivering at least that batch of Leopard catamarans. So we were in Fort Lauderdale. We filmed the freighter. Is that video still?
Yes, but you guys can hear us, right?
Yep, sure can.
Is it on? Okay, I don't know if the video is running, but
it's a little slow, but we can keep going.
Anyway, so we wanted to be in Fort Lauderdale so that when the boat arrived, we just wanted to see it and experience that. So we filmed the boat arriving. We saw it arrive to the docks for the very first time. Obviously, all moments in life that we would never get a chance to repeat. And if you're able to do that, I would recommend doing that. I mean, it's pretty darn cool to see your brand new boat arriving. And this kind of, there's a note to that, or a side note to it too, as you go down this journey, to celebrate every moment, whether it's that, hey, we rented our house, or we're in Fort Lauderdale, or you realize that you're moving down that path towards the ultimate dream.
But there was an amazing feeling to see our boat sitting on a dock after 22 months. And we were looking for the numbers because there are all these 45 Leopards that came in at the same time. So we knew the number, the number of the boat, which is a whole number. Yeah. So we were looking, and we came to our boat, and we were looking at it like it was like our baby. Like it's all wrapped up like a present, all wrapped up, with plastic. And
it's a surreal moment to see our boat, and you think, we've worked hard to get to this place in life. We've set a goal to say, and you've signed a contract and stuff, that this boat's arriving at whatever date, and then to actually see it sitting there, I don't know, it gives you a moment of pause and to think, holy cow,
wow, what have we done?
It's actually here.
What have we done? But it comes down to, there's nothing not to like about sailing. There is nothing. I had a lot of concerns about, uncertainty is the thing about, am I going to like enough? Am I going to be able to work as well? Can I do this? Am I going to enjoy it? But there's nothing not to like about sailing. It's such an amazing experience.
I think this reminds me of one other quick note, was that when we had the motorhome, if you think of when you move a motorhome from point A to point B, you're on land, you're with the rest of the traffic, you're going to pass through whatever city you have to go through. When you move a boat from point A to point B, you're pretty much out there in utter peace and silence. And if you have good winds that you're going to sail, there's just nothing better than to have the sails up and hear the water behind the boat. And it's just magical. It's really serene and peaceful. Very different experience of traveling on a boat versus a motorhome.
So Andy, can you tell us, where are we now? What are we doing?
We are currently, so we're sitting in Fort Lauderdale. Maki kind of alluded to this before. For those of you that don't know, we do have a YouTube channel. We'll talk maybe a little bit more about it later on. But we had mentioned this on our YouTube channel that after we took delivery of the boat, knowing that we were going to do long offshore passages because we planned to travel not everywhere or around the whole world, but we're significant offshore sailing. So we did have the water maker installed and we did have solar added to the boat. But we decided we would take the boat and travel up the US East Coast. That was our plan for hurricane season, even before COVID, to be honest. We wanted to travel up the eastern US seaboard and just get comfortable with the boat. And along the way, make a list of things that we had an idea of things that we wanted to still add to the boat, but we wanted to take that time to really confirm that. Simple things like, hey, we've been traveling the past 7 months and I keep reaching for a handle that's not there. Maybe do we think we should put one there, or reconfirm that yes, we should really put a couple extra drawers in, or whatever it may be, right?
Okay. So this is what we're doing, right? We're just getting some work done right now in Dania Beach.
Yeah, but well, some of the footage you guys probably saw the video before, right? It was I hope if it was running, it's showing, you know, as
that's
we.
No,
it's
yes,
in here.
where we,
So we had traveled up to the East Coast, up into the Chesapeake. We would highly recommend. Again, if you take us as an example, brand new boat owners, we've never owned a boat. Yes, we sailed a little, and yes, we got out there as much as we could, and we took classes and read books. But you get on a Leopard 45 or a Leopard 40 or 42, whatever it may be, it's a very different feeling of being on a association's boat or being on a class, and all of a sudden you're on your own boat. So we wanted to get as comfortable as we possibly could with our boat. We did dial in our case, it was Captain Richard. If you watch the YouTube channels, you'll see him on there. It was worth every single penny to have him on board because it allowed us to relax and enjoy our boat.
yes.
And along the way, he allowed us to learn through his experience.
Yes.
And then he jumped off the boat in Charleston. And then we had him come back and help us take us around Cape Hatteras. But up in Norfolk, when Richard did get off, the thing about the Chesapeake that's really a perfect place to, or at least we think it's a perfect place to kind of, have the training wheels and get out. It's a somewhat confined body of water.
Yes.
And it allows you to do miniature day hops. So you would go from Norfolk to Deltaville up to Solomon's Island. These are all 30 to 50 nautical mile day sails. So that allowed us to practice our, hey, we're going to plot a course on the chart plotter. Maki's going to look at, where are we going to anchor? Where are we going to go to a marina? We move the boat. You do all your docking. And so we did all this in a kind of, I guess, a little bit of a miniature version. You feel safer so that after the 3 or 4 months we were in the Chesapeake, when we came back out to the open Atlantic, it didn't feel any different.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we felt, we had confidence that, what, we can actually do this. And we've actually done multiple days of night sailing all by ourselves, just as a family of 4. That's a pretty big step, I think, as brand new boat owners.
Never
really. And we'll talk more about safety, but safety is paramount. And so, you think about, hey, we have our kids on board. We really need to be safe. But in that time period of going up the East Coast, spending time in the Chesapeake, we really built our confidence, and we're out here doing it now. So you can do it too.
Okay, so what's our plan?
So after we wrap up here in Fort Lauderdale, our plan is to go to the Bahamas so that finally we can see crystal clear tropical waters and go swimming in, what is the epitome of every magazine of a sailboat sitting in this crazy, beautiful water. We would spend the rest of the winter season there. And then our plan for this next hurricane season, so this coming summer and beginning of fall, we will go all the way up, I think, all the way up to Maine, and spend some time up in Martha's Vineyard and Long Island Sound, and go into, if the world is a little more sane, take our boys into New York City, and then we'll work our way back south, and then we would go down into the Caribbean, down into the US Virgin Islands, or again, if it's open, the British Virgin Islands. And then beyond that, we plan to cross the Atlantic and go to the Mediterranean, and we would spend probably 2 to 3 years there. And to be honest, we haven't thought beyond that. So.
And that's too much too. Too much planning.
So that's where we're at on that. So I would say that at this stage of the game, before we even start the Bahamas, so we've been on the boat now for 9 months, and we've sailed roughly 3,500 nautical miles on the boat. And so obviously that we're going to start doing longer passages and longer legs. But I think this is.
It took us about 6 months, for me at least, to get comfortable with the boat. Maybe for you a little bit less, but it took us, for me, just to really understand how everything works, and right.
I think for me, it's after about 2 months. I was really comfortable with being at the helm, and we really, after Richard had left and we didn't have the captain on board, we got into a pretty good rhythm pretty fast. So it actually didn't take us that long. I think for me, it was the comfort level came quicker. And in all fairness, it's because I spent more time out on catamarans, on going with other owners, and Maki didn't get a chance to do that. So
okay, now the next big question we get all the time is, why Leopard? Why not another catamaran, another production? What about the fast catamarans? And so
yeah, so I would say that at the time that when we made our decision to buy our Leopard, we had already gone to probably 2 to 3 years of boat shows, and that's another thing I would suggest. Just go and just go have fun. But when you do go to the boat shows, you'll see so many catamarans that it does get a little overwhelming. You see some similarities, and how do you differentiate which one should you? And which one should you get? When we did all those shows, we honestly found ourselves continually coming back to Leopard, and that would boil down to really 2 main things, and that was build quality and the safety features that were dialed into this boat. One of the biggest ones, safety-wise, is that we have the forward cockpit. I
love that as aesthetics. Okay.
So you could.
The forward cockpit is awesome. For me, I think that's really one of the features that all the other boats don't have it, at least for this size. And it's such a natural way to come out from the kitchen, make yourself a coffee in the morning and sit there, enjoy the peace and tranquility of your horizon. So the forward cockpit is one of them. Also, the beauty of the aft cockpit, the spaciousness of the table. If you have a bigger family, we can all sit there really comfortable. That is really awesome. Interior design inside, Leopard has done such a great job. At least for us, we love the colors. We love the natural colors, just those light gray naturals that we can pop with our colors and with our design. And it just gives us a nice and soft and modern look. The bathrooms are awesome. The master bathroom, I don't miss my bathroom.
The master, so we have the owner's version, and the master head is pretty much the size of a normal apartment European bathroom.
And what you guys just saw, that's the master cabin. This is the forward.
So you see that door right there. That's the forward. That one. That's the forward cockpit. Now, this is a huge safety feature because we have younger boys on board. I've told the boys, who knows, if we're ever blessed to see a whale, that would be great. But I can guarantee you will see dolphins. And we have seen many dolphins, and we've seen sharks. And you want to share that with your kids. And so when we're out at passage, out at sea, you don't certainly want them walking on the outer decks. This allows us to safely walk them through the front cockpit door. They go up front on the trampoline, you sit there and you watch the dolphins, which never gets old, and you watch these beautiful creatures in the sea, and then they safely come back inside, and we've never worried about where are they, are you guys tethered in, and blah, blah, blah. So,
but you forgot, Andy, the best part, the one that you really loved about the helm.
So
the helm.
So the really great thing, and this goes hand in hand with why we chose the Leopard 45, we feel that the Leopard 45 is a big enough boat to be extremely comfortable, but it's small enough to be manageable. We did look at the Leopard 50, and that is a gorgeous boat, and the 42 is a beautiful boat. For us as a family of 4, and knowing that we're going to have more family, and eventually, again, when we get back to a more normal life, there's plenty of room, there's plenty of, heads and rooms and all that kind of stuff. But from a helm standpoint, every line comes back to the helm, and that's a huge deal when you are out at sea and you realize that I could single-handedly do everything on the boat. I could furl, I could tack, I can do all those things that we need to adjust sails. It's big enough of a helm that 2 of us can easily sit up there. The boys have sat actually behind us at the helm seat. So all 4 of us have actually been at the helm before. It's just well thought out. It makes sense. If you have a furling line that might be on the outside and you're in rougher seas, which I've been on a boat having to do that, and you realize, hey, we're in 10-foot seas, and one of us has to go out there and get the furling line so we can adjust or furl, the head sail. you know, I don't want to go out there when it's like that. So it's just well thought out. They've really, keep in mind that the Leopard is the same company as the Mornings and their other charter businesses. And they get an immense amount of information back from all their charter clientele that says, hey, I really wish you guys had a drawer there, or I keep stubbing my toe on whatever this thing is. And so they're able to improve and dial in a lot of this stuff just from the feedback that they get pretty much on a daily basis. So,
and they're from South Africa. And then we mentioned that Winds, actually Gone with the Winds, another YouTube channel, amazing people. They have done this great video about the tour of Leopard Factory. So if you guys haven't seen it, it's about Leopard Factory. It's one of their
they went on the tour of the factory to see how the Leopard catamarans are made, and it's
all
fascinating.
Handmade. I mean, it's a lot of things.
Yeah, so you know, you keep in mind that, you know, if you look at the auto industry, those are all literally robotic systems are making those. Even boats like this, when everybody says, oh, it's a production catamaran, it's still made by hand. There is an entire production process where it is a handmade yacht, and it's pretty fascinating to see how it's done. So, but this thing is solid. It's just, the other thing I quickly want to mention is that during classes in California, I didn't get a chance to sail on a Leopard. So they were all on different catamarans, even other production catamarans, and all of them had squeaks and rattles. And I'm really, well, both of us are really big on fit and finish. And it just bugged me to see, you know, raw exposed plywood on the insides of the drawers,
or nails, a lot of nails sticking out.
Yeah, or to finish off areas, they would stuff in this special kind of foam. But it wasn't what you get here. You know, if you look at other production catamarans, like even just the aft cockpit, it's just a plastic shell and they put in some lights. The one with Leopard, it's really luxurious. They really finish it off nicely. It's just well done. It's a really well done.
Hey, Maki and Andy, just a quick build on that. You know, at the boat show, you know, when they start to happen again, which I know everyone's looking forward to, you know, go on a boat, lift up the hatches, look underneath, look in the bilges. I think to really start to understand the distinctions of build quality, I think that's an important piece. Another point about the helm, some boats will actually put, you know, the helm stations kind of more back and towards the edge of the boat, like you'd see in a traditional kind of monohull. And you know, thinking about doing an overnight passage out there in rough seas, you know, not for me, but you know, certainly for some folks. And the other thing I like too about the helm position is when you're sailing and someone's on watch or up there, you're still socially, you're still part of whatever's going on in the aft cockpit.
Exactly.
Definitely.
You're not cut off like you would be on potentially a fly bridge.
Which it makes
one. Oh, sorry to just a quick build on the hatch there. So someone said, hey, how is tell me a little bit about what it's like with that door leading out to the forward cockpit. You know, I know that when I first bought my Leopard, brokers of other boats would be like, oh, I don't know about that front hatch. I've seen videos. I know that sailing Sisiu, they've been in some big weather and you know, had, you know, water up the door, and it just drains out really fast with the scuppers that are underneath the floor. Any insight or experience on that firsthand with
yeah. So ironically, there was another Leopard 45, a couple that we became friends with actually at the Miami Boat Show. They were taking delivery of a brand new Leopard 45. And when they did aftermarket work over in the Gulf side, over around Tampa, and so when they were going to bring it back to Fort Lauderdale, they had asked, you know, would you mind coming along with us? And so I did. And I've been on, you know, a couple of the Leopards where when we were sailing, and you know, you're going to hit some bigger waves, and a wave came over and it filled a foot and a half, where you could see the water rise up on that glass, and it's. I know we all call it a door, but it's technically a hatch. It's kind of like a submarine hatch. There's a huge rubber seal that goes all the way around this thing, so it's completely watertight. But you could see the water within seconds. It's just going down. And I know we've actually, when we started shopping, we talked to other brokers of other catamaran brands, and they kept saying, oh, you know, how dangerous it is to have the forward cockpit.
I think it's misinformation.
It is. And I would say that, and I don't want to say, you know, the other brand names, but I would say that those brands, their larger, more flagship boats also now have a forward cockpit, and some of them even have a hot tub up front. So if there's any concerns about weight up front, you have to remember that when they designed these boats, there's the entry chine. So if you look at the hull of the boat, you'll see sometimes those lines on the bottom, and that is it's giving the boat buoyancy up front. So as the boat is going up and as it comes down, it's displacing water. They have adjusted the chine and the buoyancy of this to compensate for all of that. So there is zero. We would never come out here with our children and buy a boat and go out and do things at sea that we ever thought we would be in danger. And I could firsthand tell you that I've seen that forward cockpit take on a good amount of water, which drained in seconds.
But you also, I think it's also important to notice that people think maybe there's like a one big hole and then all the water goes right into that. It's not true. There's all around the whole area of the forward cockpit, right? There's all these openings.
Well, yeah.
Channel.
So if you had, just imagine it being as a square, if the footprint of the forward cockpit was a square, right? There is, all the water drains down everywhere 360 degrees. It's going down everywhere. So wherever the footprint of the floor is for the forward cockpit, the water drains underneath every single place. And then there are two huge scuppers. And again, I'll just mention on all of this, if you want to see more of, hatches and doors and cabins and even the scuppers, we have done really in-depth. I know we have 1 hour to try to take 5 years of our life and shove it in. So it's not going to happen. If you want to stay on board, pour yourself a stiff drink or a cup of coffee, and we'll be here for 5 hours. But
speak faster.
No, we have video episodes on our YouTube channel that we purposely did this. We went through and why did we choose this boat? Why did we make the aftermarket decisions? Why did we choose this from the factory versus after? There's a lot. We had the same questions, and so this is why we did the videos.
What you guys are doing right now is what we were doing at the same time.
Yep.
It's just the time when you have to switch that switch to say, you know what, enough is enough of talking. I want to do something. I want to change my life, and that's when it's going to happen. Because dreams are always dreams unless we put the timeline on it. And,
or put action behind your dream.
Right.
You'll never. Here's the thing too. There's an kind of an analogy to sailing, or talking about dreaming about doing this is the same as sailing. If we didn't set a waypoint or a destination, we would never get anywhere. How would we know that we're closer to wherever it is we're supposed to go? And if you haven't put a flag in the ground that says, look, we're going to adjust our life and we're going to get here in 2 years, or we went and signed the contract to buy a boat, we've got 22 months to get our act together, then you will drive your life there. And then
you will adjust.
Yeah, you'll just do it. Just
get a boat that you love, that you walk into it and you feel, this feels really amazing. So let's go to the next one. We're going to talk about our lifestyle. So what do we do on a boat? And this was actually one of my concerns about, okay, so we get on a board. Are we going to get bored? Are the kids going to be happy? We can't even socialize now because of all the pandemic. So how that's going to reflect to our kids, the homeschooling and everything.
So as you can see from some of the images that are here, the lifestyle is going to be, there's nothing negative about the lifestyle. You meet fantastic people. The boys are learning and seeing and doing things they've never had a chance to do. The learning, educational side of it is endless. And we'll probably even jump to the next slide. I think we start going into,
yeah.
Let's just you can go to the next one. The next one just gives you a quick snapshot of the channel. I don't want to run out of time. So one of the things here is, these are videos that, again, go quite in depth on different systems and after, what are the decisions we made and why. So we encourage you to, at whatever point, go check that out.
A little bit about schooling, but now we're all doing schoolings. For those of you that are watching right now and you have young kids, we're doing the same thing. We're just doing it on a boat. So it's pretty much the same. We're working with our school. What I loved about what really made me comfortable and confident we can do it, and this was way before pandemics when we were leaving California, is that our principal of our school said, you guys have nothing to worry about. When your kids come back to the school, but he said they will be way ahead
of the other kids.
And that really stuck into my head.
And so there's for those of you that there's a Facebook page called Kids for Sale, not to sell, but to go sailing. Kids, the number 4, Kids for Sale. And it's families all around the world that have become a part of that group, and their kids, their kid boats, and they do monthly roll call. And so you might be in Antigua, and every month people chime in and say, hey, we're a family of 4. We have a boy this age and a girl this age. And that's how all the kid boats find each other. So there's zero concern about, oh, are my kids going to be able to interact with other kids?
Yeah, even if you have one kid, it's fine. You know, kids find a way of how to socialize, and we just need to help them as parents.
And to Maki's point too, the schooling side of it, Maki does a phenomenal job on the schooling. She's added to that curriculum, but there's the addition of learning. You know, they learn about sailing. They asked the other day, they asked us a question that neither one of us could answer, and we haven't looked it up yet, but we were in Hilton Head. The tidal range is 9 feet. We're in Fort Lauderdale. The tidal range is 2 feet. Why is it 9 feet there and 2 feet here? I don't know. Somebody probably listening knows that answer, but we're, you know, it's just interesting to see their mind working, and they're really paying attention and learning.
Okay, I'm gonna go switch.
Hey guys, a couple quick questions on the homeschooling piece. Ricardo wants to know what would you say is the best age, or is there a best age for kids to join boat life?
That's actually a great question. That's a really good
I would
question.
say it's interesting. So for those of you that may have watched Delos, Sailing Delos, a huge YouTube channel. So they're here, and they actually came by to visit this morning, and they have little Sierra. She's a beautiful little girl. But so, you know, they've got their challenges now because more of an infant on board. I think I would say, and I don't know what you think, but I think an age that's old enough that they can listen and understand direction. So I don't know, whatever that 5, 6, 7 years old.
Yes, I mean, it depends on how kids are
Some kids
maturing.
Are more, right.
Because it really, we try to make our kids as part of our crew. It's really important to, and it's a tremendous help that they can do the lines, they can help with the fenders and stuff like that. But if you don't expect, if you have a younger kids and you want to do this right now, do not hesitate, because there's always a ways. Lots of families have very young kids, some have adult kids, but really, I think the age is the best age for us, for our kids, is really just a 6 or 7 or 8. I mean, we love they're now 9, and they're able to listen, to understand better.
Well, so our boys are old enough now that we're actually teaching and allowing them, not by themselves, but when we're on board going to shore, that they'll take turns driving the dinghy. And so they've learned safety of how to drive it safely, how to dock with it, how to put it in forward, you know, so they're getting more, we're trying to dial them into more responsibilities on board. Yeah,
we're gonna do diving now, so
we'll do snorkeling and diving, and I think if for us it just happened to be that this is the age they are, and it's a great age. You know, the 7 to 12-year-old range is a phenomenal.
But even if you have older kids, we have heard this over and over from different families. The most amazing thing is if you have older children and you want to really just bond together closer. It's the best time to do on a boat. And we were doing the games, we're doing the cards, Monopoly and stuff like that, that if we were in a house, we wouldn't be doing that stuff. So regardless of your kids, if they're younger or older, it's really about just bonding and just feeling more like a wholesome family.
And I think also for, you know, if you have older teenagers and that have more cemented relationships, and it's a harder breakaway to, now we're going to go yelling and I won't see my friends. The thing is that, again, this relies on the world getting back to a more sane place. But when those friends do come visit, and you as a family host your teenagers' friends on board, all of a sudden you're going to become the coolest family, because it's a phenomenal experience to be able to go to these islands that there's nobody there. You know, they're such small islands that they're just inhabited, and so you are uninhabited. And so there is no, to be honest, I guess the short answer is there is no right age. Go with whatever age your kids are, and younger age, you'll just need to make sure that you have enough adult supervision to keep them all safe. And the older,
because you know how it sometimes happens. You plan right now and you feel, I'm ready, I want to do this, but oh, my kids are too young, or let's just wait a couple of years, things will change, and maybe back, you know, further along, you might not be able to do it. So let's talk a little bit. Can you say that in 30 seconds?
I don't want to run out of time, and we want to give you guys a chance to answer or ask some more questions. So we're going to hop through. These are a little quicker. There are a variety of tools. You'll wonder, like, well, how do you get from here? How do you know where you're going and all that stuff? These are basic tools. And for those of you that have AAA and have used triptychs and things of that nature, or camping guides or any of it, this is all basically that for the water. It gives you, the next one will show you, this is a list of the marinas and phone numbers and their approach depth, because you want to make sure that to get to that marina is the water deep enough for my specific boat to safely get there. So it's very simple. Yeah. And then one of the key things that once you do get out here, actually probably the single, other than learning how to drive the boat and be safe on it, the number one thing you're going to learn or have to learn is weather. Period. Weather is everything. That will dictate when you can go to wherever it is you want to go. If you may have heard, if you watch any YouTube channels, or you've kind of heard this out in the world, where people talk about the weather window, and that is to say, hey, we want to go from here to, let's just say, St. Augustine. That's going to require us to sail overnight. It's 180 miles. We need 2 days. Is the weather good? Is the sea conditions good enough? Not that you will be safe. These boats can take, like I said, I've been with Captain Richard in 10 to 12 foot seas. Not comfortable, but the boat is fine. It can handle all that stuff. It's just, we don't want to be out in that. You want this to be a fun and enjoyable life experience. But weather will drive all of that. And these are some of the tools. We use buoy weather, we use windy, we use predict wind. We would suggest using a variety of them because they all kind of pull from the same sources, and these are weather predictions. And so before we jump out into the big blue ocean, we want to make sure that at least all of them are somewhat aligned. And then you realize, okay, this may not be perfect. It may not be exactly 10 to 12 knots, but all of them are saying the same thing. So I think we're good to go. And you will learn how to read weather patterns. You'll learn how to read the radar images, to learn about squalls and little storms.
Did not know anything.
We didn't know any of this. We didn't know any of this.
In California, there's always a sunshine and blue sky, so we just went with that for the most part. So the cruising apps, you want to say something?
Cruising apps, this just boils down to more nautical charts. Again, we have redundancy in place, so we use the one, what's the name of it? You use Aquamaps, and I use an Avionics. So we use two different, and if you could, with another iPad, use 3 different maps, nautical charts, because they'll show different things. And so one might show, hey, there's a rock here, and the other one shows there is no rock there. So it just allows you to really double check depths. And the only concern is going to be when you're close to shore, you're coming into a channel or into a marina, because when you're out at sea and you're in 4,000 feet of water,
there's nothing.
You're fine. So there are a variety of apps for that.
So storm preparedness.
We've
experienced the Hurricane 1 this summer.
Yeah,
what do you have to say?
Yeah, so it was a Category 1. We were up in the Chesapeake. Again, this comes down to weather, and we would also say we don't let our guard down on weather. So it doesn't matter whether we're sitting in this marina, we're at an anchored out, we're on a mooring ball, it doesn't matter. If it's just the simplicity of, hey, we're in the marina and we're gonna go to Costco and we left all the hatches open and now it's gonna pour. Who wants their bed to be all soaking wet? So it's just the simple side of it to know the weather there. This, obviously, now the beauty of major weather systems, you will know way in advance. A hurricane or tropical storms don't just appear in an hour. So you will have a lot of warning. This footage is showing you that we had multiple days in the marina to tie up the boat a variety of ways. We learned here that we didn't have enough dock lines on board. Your boat will come with 6 or 8 dock lines. We would suggest having at least a total of 12. On board, because you may need to lash your boat down a certain way.
And more fenders, inflatable ones, that you can deflate.
Yeah, but the bottom line on storm preparedness is for the most part, you should be totally fine. We could have done this on anchor or on a mooring ball. The biggest part of it, I would say, is just to be aware that it's coming, and then you can prepare yourself for it. Okay, let's move on. Next.
Expert tips. Not that we're any experts at all, but it's insurance. You want to just mention, although we did a great video with our broker, Hugo, who really tried in depth to explain just a simple English of how does it work, how can you save money, about your premiums and everything else. So please just watch our video. We're going to go to the next one, and you will understand everything.
But let me really quickly, just two things. Insurance the cost of insurance is going to boil down to 2 things. Experience out on the water, and there's a thing called a boat resume. Again, if you don't know about it, watch the video. It'll talk in depth about why that matters. And the other one is, where is your boat going to be kept? If it's going to be in the Caribbean through hurricane season, insurance is going to be way more expensive, probably double the cost of if your boat was up in Maine. So this video that we have
Yes.
goes really in depth on insurance. So check it out.
Okay, the equipment that we love.
This is pretty
Anchor,
much
anchor.
basics.
Yes,
Yeah.
basics.
So again, we're huge. And I know this is kind of silly to say that we're huge on safety. I mean, who isn't? But both of us come from the airline industry before we did movie stuff and facials and skincare company and all that. We both worked at different times, ironically, at the same airline. Airlines hammer safety into your head. As flight attendants, we went through recurrent training. You had to pass, you know, evacuation drills and all that stuff. So we actually do these types of things on board our boat, but these are some of the basics. That thing that looks like a watch, as an example, is tethered to our phone. So the phone, it has a 40-foot range. So if somebody fell in the water on our 45-foot boat, you're going to break that distance, and it will activate on our phone. It'll, you know, give you a man overboard warning. So, you know, these are all basics. We're not telling you anything here. But we did upgrade to or change to a ROCNA anchor because that thing is bulletproof. And when you are on anchor,
Yes.
you need to get a good night's rest or a decent night's rest. So having a solid anchor that you don't really have to worry about dragging. Again, we talk about these things on our video. That little Garmin thing is the inReach that gives you a global satellite communication. That is it. This is the basics. You can go as fancy as you want and spend as much money as you want. But
and they're really good life vests with all the gadgets, the lights and stuff, right? It's really important to invest, even though they are pretty expensive. You only buy them once, which is a good thing. You just buy once and then you're done.
The other thing too is that everything that we have that would go overboard for man overboard, whether it's our vest or any of the inflatables that you're throwing overboard, ours, all of them, they came with lights or we outfitted them with lights, because Murphy's Law states that somebody's gonna go overboard at night in big seas, not in a beautiful sunny day. So you want everything that's gonna flash and blink and catch your attention so you can find whoever went overboard. So the chances are we will never use it.
Hopefully.
You know, the protocols we have on board on our boat with our children pretty much assures that they will never go overboard. But you know, the accidents are accidents. And one thing that we did learn, both for me on live action sets in Hollywood and for all of us at the airlines, there's a saying that safety is no accident. And so it's just preparedness and knowing your safety equipment, knowing how to use it. And
quickly about the towing.
Hey guys, just a real quick build on that previous slide. All those recommendations are just from your experience. There's no affiliate or commercial relationship going on there. That's just from your guys' out there using the stuff. And I think because we have about 8 minutes left, let's skip ahead to slide 29, which starts to get into some of the aftermarket piece and some expert advice.
All right.
Okay,
so again, for aftermarket stuff, again, because your boat will come, you will pick your options and all that stuff. But if you're going to do like what we're doing, then the two biggest things you're going to need is power and water. So we added the solar. We've added, for comfort, we added all the enclosures so that we could stay warm and dry and all those things. For the exterior, I can't see what was the third. What was the third thing that we added?
Solar.
We had the solar, the
water maker.
And the water maker. So we have the ability to pretty much be self-sustained. Yes. So those are the things that we added on the outside.
But it really comes down, right? People ask us all the time, hey, what else we should add to and it boils down to how are you going to use your boat? Really, are you doing full-time travel? Are you doing part-time? So I think once you know all those questions, you know the answers, then you can easily start, and don't get overwhelmed with all the stuff you need right away.
Start simple.
Especially when we were on a budget. We're still on a budget. For us was more important to say, let's just get something that we really need, and then as we go by, as we learn more about all the stuff, we can add them later. So right?
Yep. All right, let's move on.
And then would you do anything different? Yeah, that's what we get a lot.
I think the only thing from my viewpoint would be that I would have dialed Maki more in a little before to give her some of that real life on the water experience as I did. Not that we did. Oh, and one other, I think we had mentioned this before. I think we would have, from a water maker standpoint, I think we would have stepped up to one larger.
Yes, water maker.
Only because, and the reason being that most of the time when you're doing coastal sailing, or as all the sailing that we've done so far, they're 30 to 70 mile nautical hops. And so if you want the water maker to run for 4, 5, 6 hours you're going to be out there to fill up your 200 gallons of water like it is on our boat. Ours makes 18 to 20 gallons an hour. So if it made it twice as fast and we can make 40 gallons an hour, you could really, in that short distance of sailing, if you're doing longer, multi-day, or you're out at sea for a week, it doesn't matter.
But we truly love anchoring. That's our favorite. And we love to stay in one place. If we love our anchor, like we were in Annapolis for 3 weeks, we booked, we were on the mooring ball. So we booked 1 week and we keep extending it. You're going to run out of water. So that's the thing. But, anyway, so
and you guys have the just for clarification here, you guys have the Spectra 400C, if my memory serves correct. Okay, great. Let's again, because we're running up against the top of the hour, let's skip to 34, and then that'll segue into some more time for Q&A.
So
this place is awesome.
Well, you picked a good one. I worked hard to put this little video, but our favorite secret spot, Irvington in
this is in the Chesapeake, in a place called Irvington, Virginia. We happened to just go there because we needed to do our 250-hour service on the engines, and they had Yanmar certified techs there. And we went into this place and I was like, wow.
Yes, and right now where you're seeing it, it's called Tides Inn Hotel. It's a beautiful little boutique hotel. They have golf courses and all kinds of stuff. You can kayak, you can paddleboard, everything. You can actually stay at their marina, maybe even get a hotel for a couple of days. We couldn't do any of the stuff now because of what's going on. So we anchored. There was a big space opening for anchor. We dropped our anchor and we were able to use some of their services there. They have an amazing restaurant. So Irvington is truly
in the Chesapeake. It would be like definitely take the time to go there. It was beautiful.
We loved it. And actually that was our last spot that we were there.
Yep. All right.
So,
looks beautiful.
The next one. Yeah.
Yeah, I would just say, just make a plan, talk as a family, make your plan that you can. And
the piece of advice.
Yeah, just as again, when we said what we did with the motorhome, what we did wrong, we just went and bought the thing, and then it was like, okay, well, it was just the wrong time. Think it through, talk about the timeline. Know that you can't just go pick up a catamaran tomorrow. It takes time for them to build it and get it to you. So there is that built-in time cushion, but have that dream, set a goal, and go for it. We have zero reservations. We would definitely do this all over again. We love it.
Like Andy always says, life is short. Truly, life is short. If you can't do it right now, buy the boat that you love, that you feel that's the boat for you. You'll know it in your heart, and go for it. There's nothing not to like about sailing.
Awesome.
All
right. So let's do our best here we have a bunch of unanswered questions. So we'll do the rapid fire round. A couple questions here just around monthly budget for kind of maintenance consumables. You guys have a number at your fingertips that you could share?
The monthly, well, now because our boat is new, right? The budget for maintenance and services is still not quite there yet. Right?
Yeah, from a monthly standpoint, we don't have any significant monthlies because we're not doing, so, you could say the expenditures on consumables for basically cleaning products. We want our boat to stay looking new forever. So it's minimal.
And we do a lot of stuff, buffing and cleaning.
Anything that we can do ourselves, we do.
The service for the engines, right? That's the one thing that we haven't done ourselves.
That much. It's a couple $100. It's not. Yeah, the service on the engines, and again, it depends on how much you're motoring versus sailing or motor sailing.
So we will come up with a budget. It's really just a lot of money goes into food. We also have a small boat loan, so we got to pay that, and then the phone charges. But keep in mind, you have no cable. You save on not having TV. We do have a TV, but we just don't use the cable. And also, what else? No electricity and no gas and stuff. So there are ways of
and the more you anchoring is free, right? So if you anchor out, it costs nothing.
Yes, and especially like if you're in Chesapeake Bay, the marinas that we stayed are amazing.
Really
you can even
affordable.
stay at the marina for $600 a month. In Florida, that's a completely different story. And also your insurance goes up when you are going to Bahamas versus, yeah.
Okay, and then
I'm
next question.
I'm gonna try to squeeze in two more questions here. Any issues with seasickness with you and the kids? Has everyone been fine? Any secrets to kind of get over the hurdle on that, if so?
We're gonna try. There's a watch. We haven't bought it yet. So we do get seasick for sure. I mean, if it's really rough.
I got seasick when I went with Richard, but that's because we were in 10 to 12 foot seas. The normal everyday, because we really watch the weather and we try to put ourselves out in seas that are 3 feet or less. Really, it's only been Lucas.
Yes.
Lucas gets a little nauseous.
But not anymore. Kids,
Yeah.
Kids are actually more resilient than to us.
And I would say the sickness part of it, you'll get seasick, and then you'll get your sea legs and you'll be fine.
Yes, and us feel awful at the time when you're sick. Chris, I know you can share that. Probably you really feel, okay, this is the worst day of your life, but it goes away and then you start getting hungry again. But there are watches that we're looking forward to buy.
The relief. Yeah, relief band supposedly works really well.
Yes, they're holistic stuff that you can use. But really, you're not doing so much sailing. You're really doing a lot of also, being at anchorage as well. So, just
awesome.
Being careful when you go.
Next.
Awesome. Well, we'll actually leave it at that because we're at 2 o'clock, and I want to thank. I know. Lots of great content on the YouTube channel, and again, this video will be available at leopardcatamarans.com. I want to thank Andy, Maki, and the boys so much for joining us and sharing their story today. Thank you all for spending part of your day with us, and please do take a moment to give us your feedback on the next screen. Thanks, everyone.
Great.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Bye.